Friday afternoon. I'm out by the fence my grandfather built, sweat on my brow, boots caked in that dry Sierra Nevada clay, just trying to make the old place look half respectable. Then, like it was scripted, here comes his black SUV crawling up the gravel drive. Windows dark as night. Two guys step out, both in uniforms, badges glinting in the late light, radios, handcuffs, all the gear. The tall one looks ex-military, carries himself like he's expecting trouble, throws his hand up like he's directing traffic, and says, HOA security enforcement. You ever have a moment where it feels like you just landed in somebody else's bad dream? That's how it hit me. I've only been back on this land a couple days, still figuring out what to do with 45 acres of California gold country my grandfather left me. And now, apparently, I'm public enemy number one, at least according to these guys. We've received reports you're violating land use regulations. The tall one says, flat as a stone. You need to stop all activity immediately. All I'm doing is fixing up a fence that's been falling apart since before I was born. My family's owned this chunk of dirt since the gold rush. Now two strangers want to tell me I can't touch it? They didn't know two things. First, there's a gold deposit under these hills worth a fortune. And second, I do security for a living. My job is sniffing out fakes and frauds. They picked the wrong target. Look, I hadn't set foot in the Sierra foothills in a decade. Work, life, city distractions. Now here I am, standing in weeds up to my knees, thinking about whether to keep this land or finally let it go. Grandpa Walter, stubborn as a mule, died just 3 weeks back. He'd refused every offer to sell, ignored developers with checkbooks, wanted nothing but to die in his own bed, alone on these acres. Sometimes that kind of stubborn runs in the blood. The drive up from Sacramento took me past abandoned mining towns and shiny new wineries built on someone else's bones. I planned a few quiet weeks, fix, clean, maybe say goodbye. But risk assessment, that's my day job, and apparently this trip was about to become the biggest case of my life. First day, I decided to start simple, replace rotten posts along the east boundary. Sweat, cursing, nothing glamorous. That's when I hear the SUV. The kind that wants you to believe it's important, but doesn't quite say cop. The two men, tall, shaved head, probably in his 50s, and a younger, bulkier shadow behind him, walk up like they own the place. I'm Officer Crane. This is Officer Miller. You're conducting unauthorized construction. Cease work immediately. HOA security enforcement. Never heard of it. Never needed to. I try to keep my voice steady, just fixing a fence. Been falling apart for years. No blink, no hint of humor. Any modification requires prior approval from the HOA board. Section 12, subsection C. He hands me a citation, printer paper, cheap ink, Sierra Ridge Community Association letterhead, $500 fine, due in 2 weeks. I know fake when I touch it. Paper too light. No watermark, uniforms without badge numbers, no name tags, just security enforcement in cheap embroidery. 2 red flags before I even finish reading. I say, I'll review this with the board. Didn't know there were restrictions on repairs. Crane just gives me this thin smile, colder than a snake. You knew. Your grandfather had the same attitude. Took him a while to learn how things work around here. Don't make his mistakes. Then he turns on his heel, Miller trailing after, radio silent the whole time. No static, no dispatcher. Just the crunch of gravel and the dust they leave behind. So there I am, alone with a $500 fine for fixing a fence. I check the citation, fold it, snap a photo of the license plate as they drive off. Document everything, trust nothing. That's the way I've always worked. 3 days go by. No word. I get the fence fixed, clear brush, start a list of what needs work. That citation just sits there on my kitchen counter, looking more like a prank every time I glance at it. 4th morning, I find a new envelope taped to my front gate. No engine, no footsteps, just there like a ghost left it. Another citation, Now, $750. Failure to maintain property standards. For what? The fence is new, the brush is gone. I photograph everything, envelope tape the whole deal. But now, the black SUV starts showing up on the county road, engine off, windows up, just sitting there, watching, sometimes for 20 minutes, sometimes longer. Next day, it circles twice, slow, textbook intimidation. But it's not all bad news. Fifth day, I get a visitor who isn't trying to scare me off. Martha Jennings, 71, 5 feet nothing, with a cinnamon pie and a lifetime of stories about my grandfather. We sit on the porch with iced tea, talking about Walter, how he fixed her fences, watched the sunsets, refused to sell when every other neighbor caved. After he started saying no, she says things got strange. Strangers showing up, security men in uniforms. He called them frauds, had papers, meant to expose them, but his health failed. I promised her I'll be careful. Whatever scared Grandpa, it's after me now. That night, the phone rings. Unknown number. Male voice flat. This is HOA enforcement. Your fines are now $1,250. If payment isn't received, we'll place a lien on your property. I ask who I'm speaking to. No answer, just you know how to contact us. That's extortion, not enforcement. I record the call, recognize the voice, close to Cranes, but not quite. I dig for the Sierra Ridge Association website. Basic, just contacts and board names. No security division, no fines, nothing about procedures. I Google Security Enforcement California. 0. Either this is the world's worst run HOA, or it's not real at all. Next morning, I call the board president, Glenn Sawyer. He's shocked. We don't have enforcement officers. We're just neighbors with a volunteer board. No citations, no fees. Only county code enforcement can issue a lien, and they don't dress like that. I tell him about Crane and Miller. Glenn hesitates, says there have been rumors, people poking around for mineral rights, strange offers, but nothing official. My grandfather had warned about frauds, and it turns out he was dead on. By now, I'm starting to piece it together. California law is clear. Impersonating an officer is a felony. Extortion's another. Add trespassing and fake plates, and you've got a case. But why go to all this trouble? I start looking into the land itself. Gold country, everyone knows that. But a geological survey from 3 years ago, buried in county files, mentions a significant deposit right here. That's the answer. These guys want gold. They want me gone, and they'll break the law to do it. So what do? I could call the sheriff, get Crane and Miller arrested, or I could wait, see if I can net whoever's pulling the strings. I decide to hold off, lay traps, security cameras, cloud backups, everything. Martha and Glenn agree to be witnesses. I find a lawyer, Marie Robinson, a bulldog who specializes in this stuff. She connects the dots, finds a company, Apex Mineral Resources, quietly buying up mineral rights, always with the same pattern. Pressure, intimidation, lowball offers. Victor Crane's been paid nearly $50,000 in consulting fees by Apex's property acquisition wing. So it's not just two crooks. It's an operation. We plot a strategy, document, wait, let them hang themselves. Marie even starts digging into Grandpa's final months, just in case. That night, I find his old lockbox in the workshop, full of letters, photos of unfamiliar cars, handwritten notes about threats, copies of the exact same fake citations. He'd been fighting these guys alone for years. The next week, Victor comes back, alone this time, in slacks and a polo shirt, no uniform. Says he's got a cash offer for the land, way below value, before the lien gets placed. I push back, tell him I've talked to Glenn, I know about the fake security. His face slips, just for a second, but he tries to spin it. There are layers of governance. Useless words. He threatens, implies Grandpa's death wasn't natural. I record it all. Now, this is where most folks panic. But I stay calm, stay legal, let them keep digging. Victor and Miller start telling neighbors I'm poisoning the groundwater, defamation, adding charges to their own rap sheet. Sheriff Ortega gets involved, promises backup. The next morning, I find Grandpa's full archive, years of documentation, just waiting for a finish line. Then comes the day of reckoning. 3 vehicles, Victor, Miller, and a new guy, arrive, try to serve a court order for asset seizure. I'm on the porch, recording everything. Martha and Glenn show up as witnesses. Victor's bluff collapses when the real sheriff rolls up, lights flashing. Sheriff Ortega checks the court order. No seal, no judge, just a piece of junk. Victor and Miller are cuffed on the spot. The third guy flips immediately. The trial's 3 months later. Every scrap of evidence, mine and Grandpa's, goes in front of the jury. Victor gets 4 years in prison, restitution to all the victims. Miller gets probation and community service. The nervous accomplice gets immunity for testifying. That's not all. The investigation leads up to Apex Mineral Resources. Turns out they've pulled this scheme on at least 5 other landowners. Federal charges fly. The CEO resigns. Assets get frozen, and Western Land Solutions is dissolved. I get a call, $2 million for the mineral rights. I say no. My grandfather kept this land safe for 40 years. Gold's waited this long, it can wait a little longer. Glenn organizes a community meeting so I can share the story, teach the neighbors how to spot scams, how to stand their ground. That evening, Martha brings another pie. We sit on the porch and watch the foothills turn gold in the sunset. Your grandfather would be proud, she says. I believe her. I'll keep this land for the family, just like he did. The gold can stay in the ground. The real treasure's what you grow above it. Oak trees, wildflowers, and peace. So here's what I learned. Never let anyone in a uniform scare you out of asking questions. Authority can be verified, always. Document everything. Stay calm. The only power frauds have is the power we give them by being silent. Don't give them that. Ever. Now, I'm curious. Has anyone ever tried to pull something like this on you? Someone pretending to have power they didn't actually have? How did you handle it? Drop your story below. Let's see who's got the wildest tale. Stay sharp out there.